Have you ever felt like a leaf in the wind, pushed and pulled by the opinions of others, by the sting of criticism, by the chaos of a world that never seems to slow down? Do you find yourself constantly explaining your choices, seeking a nod of approval, or biting your tongue when you know you should speak up? You walk into a room and your first thought isn't, "Here I am," but rather, "I hope they like me." Your heart races, your mind buzzes with self-doubt, and you feel a familiar, draining sense of anxiety. It's like trying to run 20 browser tabs in your brain at once, each one screaming for your attention, leaving you exhausted and feeling powerless. What if I told you there's another way to live? A way to move through the world not as a leaf, but as a mountain. Steady, calm, unshakable. Imagine a version of yourself that doesn't get rattled by criticism, that doesn't need applause to feel worthy, that carries a quiet power so profound that people stop and listen without you ever having to raise your voice. This isn't a fantasy. This is what we call dangerous confidence. It's not loud. It's not arrogant. It's the silent, unshakable certainty that comes from within. It's the highest form of personal power, achieved when nothing outside of you can provoke you, control you, or diminish you. This is not about faking it. This is about becoming it. Over the course of this audiobook, we will deconstruct this power and rebuild it within you, piece by piece. We will dismantle the habits that drain your energy and replace them with principles that forge an unbreakable core of self-belief. You will learn not just to appear confident, but to feel it in your bones, to radiate it in your presence, and to wield it with intention in every area of your life. If you're ready to make a change, stick with me. And if you find value in what you hear today, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content that can help you transform your life. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. The first commandment? Master your inner voice. If your confidence were a building, your inner voice would be its foundation. It is the architect, the construction crew, and the relentless inspector of your entire sense of self. It's the one voice you can never escape, the constant narrator of your life's story. And right now, that narrator is either your greatest champion or your most destructive enemy. It is either building a fortress of strength or a prison of doubt. There is no in-between. Most people move through life completely unaware that they are being dictated to by a tyrant in their own mind. Think about the last time you made a small mistake. What was the first thing you heard in your head? Was it, "Oops, a lesson learned. I'll do better next time"? Or was it the familiar, harsh whisper of, "You idiot. You always mess things up"? When you look in the mirror, does your inner voice catalog your strengths, or does it zoom in on every perceived flaw like a merciless critic? The way you speak to yourself in the silent, private moments of your life is the single most accurate predictor of how you will show up in public. You cannot berate yourself into becoming better. You cannot shame yourself into becoming stronger. If you privately tell yourself you are weak, you will publicly shrink. If you privately tell yourself you are incapable, you will publicly hesitate. The world simply reflects back to you the conversation you are already having with yourself. Many people get this backward. They believe that confidence is a reward for achievement. They think, once I get the promotion, then I'll feel confident. Or once people start respecting me, then I'll start respecting myself. But this is like waiting for the room to get warm before you turn up the thermostat. Your inner voice is the thermostat. It sets the temperature for your confidence. If you put it low, to a frequency of self-criticism and doubt, then even if you achieve external success, you will always find a way to sink back down to that preset level. You'll get the promotion and immediately feel the grip of imposter syndrome. You'll receive a compliment and dismiss it as luck. Conversely, when you set your internal thermostat high and intentionally cultivate a voice of strength, resilience, and self-respect, you create an internal environment that is destined to propel you forward. Challenges will come, but because you have already decided you are capable, you will meet them with resolve instead of fear. So how do we seize control of this inner narrator? It begins with awareness. For the next 24 hours, become a detective of your own thoughts. Carry a small notebook or use an app on your phone. And every time you catch yourself in a moment of negative self-talk, write it down. Don't judge it. Just observe it. You will likely be surprised by the frequency and intensity of your inner critic. Once you have identified the script, you can begin to rewrite it. This is not about delusional, fake positivity. Dangerous confidence is not built on lies. It's about shifting from destructive language to constructive language. Instead of, "I can't handle this," the new script is, "This is challenging, and I will figure out how to navigate it." Instead of, "I'm so stupid for making that mistake," the new script becomes, "That approach didn't work. What did I learn from it?" Instead of, "Everyone probably thinks I'm a fraud," the new script is, "I am here to contribute my best, and I will focus on my own performance." This practice is called cognitive reframing, and it is the mental equivalent of lifting weights. At first, it feels unnatural and difficult. Your mind will likely revert to its old, familiar patterns of self-criticism. But every time you catch the negative thought and deliberately replace it with a more substantial, more constructive one, you are building a new neural pathway. You are training your brain to become your ally. Let me tell you about a programmer named Sarah. For years, she was technically brilliant, but professionally invisible. In meetings, she'd have incredible ideas, but her inner voice would scream, "Don't speak up! They'll think you're stupid. What if you're wrong?" So, she would stay silent, watching as others presented similar, less developed ideas and received all the credit. Her career was stagnating, not because of a lack of skill, but because of a hostile inner environment. Then, she began the work. For 30 days before every single meeting, she would go to a quiet space and repeat 3 simple phrases to herself. "My voice deserves to be heard. My ideas have value. I am a capable and intelligent professional." At first, she felt foolish. The words felt like a lie, but she kept doing it. On day 1, she still said nothing. On day 5, she managed to ask a clarifying question. By day 20, she presented a small part of an idea. In the final week, she offered a comprehensive solution to a significant problem with confidence. This solution left her colleagues and superiors deeply impressed. Nothing about her skills had changed. What changed was the voice she chose to listen to. She mastered her inner world, and her outer world had no choice but to follow. Your inner voice is the foundation. Master it, and you won't just appear confident. You'll feel it in the very marrow of your bones. And once that feeling is yours, no one can ever take it away. Chapter 2. The Foundation of Steel. Building self-respect daily. Confidence without self-respect is a house built on sand. It might look impressive from a distance, but the first storm that rolls in will wash it away. It's the loud, performative confidence of someone who needs constant validation, who crumbles at the first sign of criticism, who is always trying to prove something to the world because deep down, they haven't proven anything to themselves. Absolute dangerous confidence is different. It's quiet. It's solid. It's built on a foundation of steel, self-respect. And self-respect isn't something you're born with or something you can just decide to have. It is forged. It is earned. It is the cumulative result of the small daily choices you make, especially when no one is watching. Think about how you treat someone you deeply respect. You are careful with their time. You listen intently when they speak. You trust their judgment. You honor their boundaries. Now hold up that mirror to yourself. Do you treat yourself with that same level of reverence? Or do you consistently break the promises you make to yourself? Do you say you'll wake up early to work on your goals, only to hit the snooze button 5 times? Do you promise yourself you'll stop engaging with toxic people, only to answer their call again? Do you tell yourself you'll start eating healthier, only to give in to a fleeting craving? Every time you break a promise to yourself, you send a powerful subconscious message. I am not worthy of my own commitment. My word to myself doesn't matter. Each broken promise is a tiny crack in your foundation. Over time, those cracks multiply, leaving your self-worth fragile and dependent on external forces. Conversely, every time you keep a promise to yourself, you add another layer of steel to that foundation. Waking up at 6 a.m. when your bed is warm and comfortable isn't just about getting an extra hour in your day. It's an act of self-respect. Finishing the workout when every muscle is screaming for you to quit isn't just about physical health. It's a declaration that you can trust yourself to accomplish complex tasks. Walking away from a conversation that drains your energy isn't about being rude. It's about honoring your own peace. These small, daily acts of integrity are the building blocks of an unbreakable identity. You start to see yourself not as someone who wishes they were disciplined, but as someone who is disciplined. You don't hope for strength. You demonstrate it to yourself day after day. Confidence then ceases to be a feeling you chase and becomes a natural byproduct of who you are. Consider a young entrepreneur, Michael. He had a brilliant idea for a tech startup, but he was plagued by insecurity. He'd pitch to investors, and his lack of self-belief would radiate from him. They heard his words, but they felt his doubt, and they always said no. Frustrated, he stopped focusing on the investors and turned his focus inward. He made a list of simple promises. I will code for 2 hours every day before checking my email. I will go to the gym 3 times a week. I will read 1 chapter of a business book every night. These had nothing directly to do with his pitch deck, but as he started keeping these promises, something shifted. He began to walk taller. His voice became steadier. He was building a track record of reliability with the most important person in his life, himself. When he walked into his next investor meeting, he wasn't seeking their approval to validate his idea. He was there as someone who had already validated himself through his actions. He knew he was a person who did what he said he would do. The investors felt that quiet certainty. It wasn't arrogance, it was the earned authority that comes with self-respect. They funded his company. Building self-respect also means honoring your mind and body. It means being mindful of the information you consume. Are you doom-scrolling through negative news and social media comparison traps for hours? Or are you feeding your mind with knowledge that empowers you? It means fueling your body with nutrition that gives you energy, not lethargy. You cannot feel powerful if you are physically and mentally depleted. Treating your body and mind with respect is a non-negotiable part of the equation. Here is your challenge. For the next 7 days, make just one small, non-negotiable promise to yourself. It could be anything. Meditating for 5 minutes, drinking a certain amount of water, writing 1 page, taking a walk. The task itself is less important than keeping the promise. Write it down. Put it on your mirror. Tell no one. This is a contract between you and yourself. At the end of the week, you will have 7 victories. 7 pieces of evidence that you are someone who follows through. That is how the foundation is built. Not with grand gestures, but with the quiet discipline of daily integrity. Build your self-respect first, and the world will have no choice but to adjust to the new standard you've set. Chapter 3. Breaking the chains. Kill the need for approval. There is a subtle, insidious addiction that holds more people captive than any other. It's not a substance you can have in your hand, but it controls your decisions, dictates your emotions, and quietly steals your power every single day. It is the approval addiction. It's the hidden question behind the clothes you choose, the pictures you post, the career path you follow. What will they think? It's the gnawing anxiety you feel after speaking up in a meeting. Replaying your words over and over, wondering if you sounded intelligent enough. It's the reason you say yes when your entire being is screaming no. It's the constant, low-level hum of seeking validation from the outside world. When your sense of self-worth is outsourced to the opinions of others, it will always be fragile. Approval is a fickle currency. Today, people celebrate you. Tomorrow, they criticize you for the very same thing. If your confidence rises and falls with their fleeting judgments, you are not living your own life. You are a puppet, and you have handed the strings to everyone else. Dangerous confidence is born the moment you reclaim those strings. It begins with the profound and liberating realization that you do not need anyone's permission to be yourself, to make your own choices, or to walk your own path. Their approval is a bonus, not a necessity. Your self-respect is a necessity. One of the most common ways this need for approval manifests is in the habit of over-explaining. Think about it. You're 5 minutes late for a meeting. Instead of a respectful and straightforward "thank you for your patience," you launch into a 5-minute monologue about the unprecedented traffic, the rogue alarm clock, and the cosmic alignment of misfortunes that led to your delay. Why? Because you are desperate for the other person not to judge you. You are seeking their approval, their absolution. A confident person doesn't do this. They value their own words and other people's time too much to waste them on unnecessary justifications. They understand that their reasons are their own. They stand by their choices without needing a jury to find them innocent. When someone questions a decision you've made, do you feel an immediate defensive urge to lay out every single thought process that led you there? That urge comes from the belief that their understanding is required for your choice to be valid. It's not. A simple, "I considered the options and this is the direction I've chosen," is enough. The silence that follows isn't awkward. It's filled with the weight of your self-assurance. Let's be clear. This is not about becoming arrogant or dismissive. It is about precision and self-ownership. It is about understanding that you are the CEO of your life, and you don't need to justify every executive decision to every person in the building. Consider an artist named Lena For years, she painted vibrant, chaotic, abstract pieces that came from her soul. However, the critics were lukewarm, and the galleries sought more commercially appealing, palatable art. Driven by a need for approval, she began to change her style. She softened her colors, straightened her lines, and painted what she thought people wanted to see. She got a few gallery shows and sold some paintings, but her heart felt hollow. She was performing, not creating. The approval she received felt as empty as her inspiration had been. One day, she walked into her studio, looked at the safe, boring canvases, and made a decision. She returned to her vibrant, chaotic, and authentic style. She poured her true self onto the canvas, not for the critics, not for the buyers, but for herself. For a while, nothing happened, but she kept painting, driven by her own conviction. Eventually, a small, independent gallery owner saw her work and was captivated by its raw, unapologetic energy. Her work found its actual audience, not because she chased their approval, but because she dared to approve of herself first. Killing the need for approval is a declaration of freedom. So how do we begin? First, practice making small decisions without consulting anyone. Choose what to watch, where to eat, or what to wear based purely on your own preference. It's about retraining your brain to trust its own judgment. Second, cultivate the art of concise responses. The next time you have to decline an invitation, resist the urge to write a novel of excuses. A simple, "Thank you for the invitation, but I won't be able to make it," is perfectly sufficient. You don't owe anyone a detailed explanation for how you spend your time. Third, and most importantly, you must become your own primary source of validation. At the end of each day, take a moment to approve of yourself. Acknowledge one thing you did that you are proud of, one moment where you acted with integrity, and one challenge you faced with courage. When you fill your own cup with validation, you stop begging for drops from others. When you walk into a room, the question is no longer, "Will they like me?" It becomes, "Will I be proud of how I show up in here?" That internal shift changes everything. You stop performing and start living. People may not always agree with you. Some may even be put off by your newfound self-assurance. Let them. The people who are meant to be in your life will respect the person who respects themselves. The approval addiction is a chain. Today is the day you break it. Chapter 4. The Body of Confidence. Letting your presence speak first. Long before you utter a single word, you have already delivered a speech. Your body, your posture, your eye contact, your movements is constantly broadcasting a story to the world. It's a silent, primal language that everyone understands instinctively. And here is the unvarnished truth. If your words say one thing and your body says another, people will always believe your body. You can say, "I'm confident in this proposal." Still, suppose you are hunched over, avoiding eye contact, and fidgeting with a pen. In that case, your message is a resounding, "I don't believe in myself." You can remain silent in a negotiation, but if you sit upright, with open posture, steady hands, and direct eye contact, your presence screams, "I am not intimidated. I know my value." Most people are entirely oblivious to the signals they are sending. They let stress, anxiety, and self-doubt dictate their physical presence, inadvertently sabotaging their own efforts. They walk into a room apologetically, as if asking for permission to take up space. They shrink themselves physically, hoping to go unnoticed, and then wonder why they are overlooked. Dangerous confidence understands that the mind and body are in a constant feedback loop. It's not just that your mind tells your body how to act. Your body also tells your mind how to feel. If you physically carry yourself like a victim, your mind will adopt a victim's mentality. If you slouch, you will feel sluggish. If you avoid eye contact, you will feel insignificant. But the reverse is also true, and this is where your power lies. You can intentionally change your physiology to change your psychology. Shifting your body is often the fastest and most effective way to move your state of mind. Think of it like this. Your posture is the antenna through which you receive and transmit energy. If your antenna is bent and pointed at the ground, you will receive and transmit signals of doubt and insecurity. Suppose your antenna is straight, tall, and open to the world. In that case, you will receive and transmit signals of confidence and authority. So, what does confident body language look like? It can be broken down into a few key principles. First, occupy your space. Confident people are not afraid to take up space. When you sit, don't perch on the edge of the chair. Ready to flee. Sit back. Let your arms rest comfortably on the armrests or the table. When you stand, keep your feet shoulder-width apart for a solid, grounded stance. This isn't about aggressive manspreading. It's about a calm, centered ownership of your physical area. This sends a signal to your own brain and to others that you belong here. Second, master your posture. Imagine a string pulling you up from the crown of your head, elongating your spine. Roll your shoulders back and down, opening up your chest. This simple act does more than just make you look taller. An open chest is a primal signal of trust and fearlessness. A closed, hunched posture is a signal of protection and fear. Practice this right now, wherever you are. Sit or stand up straight. Feel the difference? Your breathing deepens. Your perspective literally elevates. Third, control your movements. Anxious energy manifests in jerky, fast, and unnecessary movements, such as tapping feet, fidgeting hands, and a constantly shifting gaze. Confident energy is the opposite. It is calm, deliberate, and economical. Slow down. When you walk, walk with purpose, not in a frantic rush. When you gesture, make your movements meaningful and controlled, rather than flailing and chaotic. When handing someone a document, do so with a steady, firm hand. Each controlled movement reinforces a sense of inner calm. Fourth, make eye contact. Eye contact is one of the most powerful tools of connection and authority. Avoiding it signals submission, insecurity, or dishonesty. Holding it too intensely can feel aggressive. The sweet spot is calm, steady, and respectful eye contact. When someone is speaking to you, maintain eye contact to show that you are listening. When speaking, maintain eye contact with the people in the room, connecting with each one individually. If this feels difficult, practice holding it for just 1 second longer than you're comfortable with. That extra second is where the confidence is built. Let's look at a junior analyst named David. He was brilliant, but in meetings with senior executives, he would physically shrink. He'd hug his notepad to his chest like a shield, keep his eyes glued to the table, and speak in a quiet, rushed tone. His ideas were consistently ignored. His manager gave him some unconventional advice. For the next meeting, I don't want you to say a word unless someone asks you a direct question. Your only job is to sit at the table as if you own it. David practiced. He walked in, chose a chair, sat upright, placed his hands calmly on the table, and simply observed, maintaining steady eye contact with whoever was speaking. He didn't say anything for the first 20 minutes, but a strange thing happened. People started looking at him. His calm, solid presence was a gravitational force in a room of anxious energy. Eventually, the CEO paused and turned to him directly. "David, you've been quiet. What are your thoughts on this?" In that moment, because his body had already established his authority, his words landed with incredible weight. Your body is your advance team. It enters the room before you do, setting the stage and establishing the terms of the engagement. Stop letting it betray you. Start training it to represent you. Before you walk into your next meaningful interaction, take 30 seconds. Go to a private space. Stand tall. Breathe deeply. Roll your shoulders back. Walk in with the quiet certainty of someone who knows they belong. Let your body speak first, and your words will only need to confirm what everyone in the room already feels. Chapter 5. The Power of the Pause. Speak less. Command more. In a world filled with noise, silence has become a superpower. We live in a culture that mistakes volume for value and speed for intelligence. People rush to fill every conversational gap, terrified of the dreaded awkward silence. They believe that the person who talks the most, who has the quickest retort, who dominates the airtime, is the one in control. This is a profound misunderstanding of power. True confidence, dangerous confidence, does not live in the noise. It lives in the pause. It understands that the more you speak, the less your words weigh. It's the difference between a machine gun and a sniper rifle. One makes a lot of noise, spraying bullets everywhere, hoping one will hit the mark. The other is silent, patient, and precise. A single, well-placed shot is all it needs. Your words should be like that single shot. Deliberate, impactful, and never wasted. People who talk excessively are often driven by a sense of insecurity. They are trying to convince themselves that they are perceived as smart, funny, or necessary. They over-explain, they ramble, they repeat themselves, all in a desperate attempt to hold your attention and win your approval. But the effect is the opposite. It signals neediness. It drains their own authority. After a while, we learn to tune them out. Their words become background noise. Now think of the most powerful person you've ever met. Chances are, they were not a motor mouth. They were likely an exceptional listener. They held their peace. They observed. And when they finally spoke, the room went quiet. Every word landed with significance because they were used so sparingly. This is the economy of language, and it is a cornerstone of commanding respect. The pause is your most excellent tool in this practice. When someone asks you a question, especially a challenging one, what is your first instinct? For most, it's to answer immediately, to prove they know the answer, to eliminate the space of uncertainty. The confident person does the opposite. They pause. This pause, even if it's just for 2 or 3 seconds, achieves several things at once. First, it gives you time to actually formulate a thoughtful response instead of a knee-jerk reaction. Second, it communicates that you are not rattled by the question. You are calm and in control of your own timing. Third, it subtly forces the other person to wait for your answer, shifting the power dynamic in your favor. It builds anticipation and makes your subsequent words more valuable. Let me give you a scenario. Imagine a tense negotiation. The other party makes an aggressive, lowball offer and then stares at you, expecting an immediate emotional reaction. The amateur negotiator will become flustered, start talking quickly, and defend their position, revealing their anxiety. they lose leverage instantly. The master negotiator, the one with dangerous confidence, will hear the offer and will simply hold the silence. They might nod slowly, maintaining eye contact, but they will not speak. This silence is deafening. It's unsettling for the other person. They expected a fight, a reaction. Instead, they get calm, unshakable poise. More often than not, the other person will become so uncomfortable with the silence that they will start talking again, usually negotiating against themselves, filling the void you created. Well, that's just our opening position. Of course, there's some flexibility. They gave up ground without you saying a word. This principle extends beyond negotiations. In everyday conversations, practice speaking less and listening more. Most people don't truly listen. They are just waiting for their turn to talk. When you give someone your full, undivided attention and listen to understand rather than reply, you make them feel seen and respected. You also gather an enormous amount of information. While they are talking, they reveal their motivations, insecurities, and priorities. You, in your silence, are gathering intelligence. When you finally do respond, your words are not just noise, they are strategic. Here's how to put this into practice. 1. Embrace the 2-second rule. Before responding to any significant question or statement, consciously pause for at least 2 full seconds. Breathe, think, then speak. 2. Cut your explanations in half. The next time you feel the urge to over-explain a decision or an opinion, challenge yourself to state your point in 1 or 2 clear sentences, and then stop. Let your statement stand on its own. 3. Become a master listener. In your following conversation, set an intention to listen more than you speak. Ask open-ended questions and then truly absorb the answer without interrupting. You will be amazed at what you learn and how people respond to your attentive presence. This is not about being passive or aloof. It's about being intentional. It's about understanding that your presence and your silence can often be more potent than a flood of words. When you speak less, people lean in. When you say less, your words have weight. If you talk less, you project an aura of calm control that is both rare and deeply respected. Master the pause, and you will master the room. Chapter 6. From Reaction to Intention. The Leader's Mindset. The vast majority of people navigate their lives like a pinball. An event happens, a button is pushed, and they are sent careening in a predictable direction, bouncing from one emotional reaction to the next. A critical email from the boss sends them into a spiral of anxiety. A rude comment from a stranger ruins their entire day. A piece of good news makes them ecstatic, while an unexpected setback plunges them into despair. They are living in a state of constant reaction. And when you are in reaction mode, you are never in control. The person with dangerous confidence operates from a completely different paradigm. They are not the pinball, they are the player. They understand that while they cannot always control the events that happen to them, they have absolute authority over their response to those events. They move through life not by reacting, but by leading. Leading, in this context, doesn't necessarily mean having a formal title or a team of people reporting to you. It begins with the leadership of the self. It is the conscious, deliberate shift from what is happening to me to how do I want to respond to what is happening. This is the fundamental difference between a follower of circumstance and a creator of reality. The reactive person is always one step behind. They are defined by external events. Their mood, their energy, and their choices are dictated by the world around them. This makes them predictable and therefore easy to manipulate. If someone knows that a particular comment will trigger your anger, they hold the keys to your emotional kingdom. They can provoke you at will. The intentional person, the leader, takes those keys back. They create a space between the stimulus and their response. In that space lies their freedom and their power. When criticized, they don't immediately defend. They pause. They assess. Is this feedback valid? Does this person's opinion actually matter? What is the most constructive way forward? They choose their response from a place of strength, not impulse. This is what makes them appear so unshakable, so dangerously confident. You can't push their buttons because they've disconnected them. You can't pull them into drama because they refuse the invitation. They operate from their own center of gravity, and they do not allow themselves to be knocked off balance. Think of it this way. Your life is a ship on the ocean. The reactive person lets the wind and the waves, external events, push their boat wherever they may. They are at the mercy of the storm. The leader stands at the helm. They acknowledge the wind and the waves, but they hold the rudder firm. They have a destination in mind, their intention, and they make constant, deliberate adjustments to stay on course, regardless of the weather. Let's see this in action. Consider a team meeting where a major project has just failed. Chaos erupts. The reactive people start pointing fingers, making excuses, and panicking about the consequences. The energy in the room is one of fear and blame. Then, the leader speaks. She doesn't react to the chaos. Instead, she sets a new tone. Her voice is calm. Okay. This is not the outcome we wanted. The blame game is a waste of our time. Currently, we have two objectives. First, to understand exactly what went wrong, and second, to develop a plan to rectify the issue. Let's start with the first. What can we learn from this? Notice the shift? She did not get swept up in the emotional current. She paused, identified the most productive path forward, and led the group's focus there. She transformed a reactive environment of chaos into an intentional climate of problem-solving. That is leadership. That is dangerous confidence. So how do you cultivate this leader's mindset in your own life? First, you must set intentions. Don't just stumble into your day and see what happens. Before you walk into a stressful meeting, a difficult conversation, or even just start your workday, take 60 seconds to decide how you want to show up. My intention is to remain calm and listen. My intention is to speak clearly and concisely. My intention is to focus on solutions, not problems. Entering a situation with a clear intention is like programming your internal GPS. It provides a clear direction to follow when things get messy. Second, practice the pause. As we discussed, that space between stimulus and response is everything. When you feel a strong emotional reaction bubbling up, anger, fear, defensiveness, train yourself to stop. Take a deep breath. This small act of physical interruption gives your rational mind a chance to catch up with your emotional impulse. Ask yourself, what is the most powerful and effective response here, aligned with my long-term goals? Third, stop personalizing everything. Most of what happens in the world is not about you. Someone's foul mood is likely a reflection of their own struggles, not a verdict on your worth. A setback at work is a business problem to be solved, not a personal failure to be lamented. Detaching your ego from events enables you to see them with clarity and respond with logic rather than emotion. When you shift from reaction to intention, the world around you begins to change. People are drawn to a steady center in a chaotic world. They look to the person who isn't tossed about by every wave. You become an anchor, not just for yourself, but for those around you. Stop being the pinball. Pick up the controls. Lead yourself first, and the world will naturally begin to follow. Chapter 7. Forging Strength in Fire. Embrace discomfort. There is a universal law that governs all growth, from the mightiest oak tree to the human spirit. Strength is forged in resistance. A tree that grows in a windless biodome will be tall and green, but it will have weak, brittle roots and will snap at the first real storm. It is the constant battle against the wind that forces a tree to grow deep, powerful roots, anchoring it to the earth. Your confidence is no different. We are biologically wired to seek comfort and avoid pain. It's a survival instinct. But in our modern world, this instinct has become a trap. We live in an era of unprecedented comfort, and it is making us soft. We avoid difficult conversations. We shy away from ambitious projects that might lead to failure. We stick to the familiar, the safe, the predictable. And in doing so, we build ourselves a comfortable cage. Inside this cage, there is no real growth. There is no resilience. There is no proof of our own strength. And deep down, we know it. The gnawing feeling of insecurity that so many people experience is not a sign of a character flaw. It's a symptom of a life lived without meaningful struggle. Your soul is starving for evidence of its own power. Dangerous confidence is not built on a throne of comfort. It is forged in the fire of voluntary discomfort. It is the quiet knowledge, earned through experience, that you can handle hardship, that you can face fear and act anyway, that you can endure pressure and remain standing. This kind of confidence cannot be learned from a book or a lecture. It must be lived. It is carved into you by the challenges you choose to face. Think of discomfort as the gym for your character. If you go to the gym and only lift the tiny 1-pound weights because they are easy and comfortable, you will never build muscle. Growth occurs at the point of strain, where your muscles are shaking and you are pushing against your perceived limits. It's the last repetition of the set that creates the most growth. Life works exactly the same way. The uncomfortable conversation is your spiritual deadlift. The nerve-wracking presentation is your mental bench press. The risk of rejection is your emotional squat. Each time you lean into these moments, instead of running from them, you are building spiritual and emotional muscle. You are expanding your capacity to handle life. Let me tell you about a woman named Maria, a graphic designer who was terrified of public speaking. The mere thought of presenting her ideas to a client made her hands sweat and her stomach churn. For years, she hid behind her senior colleagues, allowing them to review her work. She was comfortable, but she was also invisible and frustrated. She knew she had to change, so she started small. She joined a local Toastmasters club, a place specifically designed for people to practice public speaking in a supportive environment. The first time she stood up to speak, her voice trembled and she forgot her words. It was excruciatingly uncomfortable. She wanted to run and never come back, but she didn't. The following week, she went back, and the week after that. Each speech was a small act of courage. Each moment of discomfort was a rep in her mental gym. Months went by. The trembling in her voice lessened. The fear was still there, but it no longer paralyzed her. It became a familiar energy she could channel. One day at work, A senior colleague fell ill right before a major client pitch. Panic set in. The client was on their way. Without even thinking, Maria stepped forward. "I'll do it." She walked into that boardroom and delivered a passionate, clear, and confident presentation of her own work. She didn't just win the contract. She won a newfound, unshakable respect for herself. Her confidence was no longer a hope, it was a proven fact. She had walked through the fire and discovered she was fireproof. You must stop seeing discomfort as an enemy to be avoided and start seeing it as an essential nutrient for your growth. Fear is not a stop sign. It is a compass pointing you directly toward the area where you need to grow the most. That feeling in your stomach? That's not a warning to retreat. It's an invitation to advance. So how do you begin? 1. Do one thing every day that scares you. This is a classic piece of advice for a reason. It works. It doesn't have to be monumental. It could be as small as speaking up in a meeting, starting a conversation with a stranger, or finally signing up for that class you've been putting off. Collect small wins against your fear. 2. Reframe the feeling. When you feel the physical sensations of nervousness or anxiety, the racing heart, the butterflies in your stomach, don't label them as fear. Reframe them as excitement or energy. The physiological response is nearly identical. The only difference is the story you tell yourself about it. Tell yourself, "My body is getting ready to do something important." 3. Seek out voluntary hardship. Don't wait for life to test you. Test yourself. Take cold showers. Sign up for a physical challenge, such as a 5K or a marathon. Wake up an hour earlier. These acts of voluntary discomfort build a mindset of resilience and prove to you that you can do hard things by choice, which makes you infinitely more prepared for the hard things that come without your consent. Embrace discomfort until it feels normal. Live at the edge of your abilities. The more you do, the wider your comfort zone will become, until what once terrified you is now just another Tuesday. That is where dangerous confidence lives, in the quiet certainty that you have been tested and you have not been broken. Chapter 8. The Alchemist's Secret. Turning rejection into fuel rejection. No other word in the English language seems to carry such a personal sting. It feels like a verdict on our worth, a final judgment that we are not good enough, not smart enough, not wanted. For most people, the fear of rejection is a cage that keeps them playing small. They won't ask for the raise. They won't approach the person they're attracted to. They won't submit their creative work. All to avoid the possibility of hearing that one soul-crushing word, no. But what if I told you that rejection is not a verdict? What if it's not an ending, but a beginning? What if rejection is actually one of the most potent, powerful, and essential ingredients for building unstoppable, dangerous confidence? The person who fears rejection is a prisoner. The person who embraces it is free. The secret lies in a radical shift of perspective. We must learn to see rejection not as a reflection of our inadequacy, but as simple, impersonal data. It is feedback. It is a redirection. It is a sharpening stone. Think of a scientist in a lab working on a breakthrough discovery. She will run hundreds, perhaps thousands of experiments. The vast majority of them will fail. They won't produce the desired result. Does she throw her hands up after the first failed experiment and declare herself a worthless scientist? Of course not. She sees each failure as a data point. Okay, that hypothesis was incorrect. That combination of elements didn't work. What did I learn? What can I try next? Each no from the universe is not a rejection of her. It's a piece of information that guides her closer to the yes. You must become the scientist of your own life. Every no you receive is just a data point. Didn't get the job? The data might indicate that your interview skills need polishing or that your resume requires improvement. Or the data might be that the company culture was a terrible fit for you and you just dodged a bullet. It is not a verdict that you are unemployable. Your business idea was turned down by investors. The data might be that your pitch needs to be stronger or that your market analysis is incomplete. Alternatively, the data may indicate that you're targeting the wrong audience. It is not a verdict that your idea is worthless. When you learn to detach your ego from the outcome, rejection loses its power to wound you. It becomes a tool. It becomes your teacher. The sting you feel is your pride, not your potential, being hurt. And pride is a fragile thing that often stands in the way of growth. The history of human achievement is a history of persevering through rejection. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper because he lacked imagination. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter manuscript was rejected by 12 different publishers. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. These rejections did not destroy them. They fueled them. Each no became a log on the fire of their ambition. They didn't see rejection as a stop sign. They saw it as a challenge. It forced them to improve, to refine their craft, and to prove the world wrong. So how do you become an alchemist who can turn the lead of rejection into the gold of confidence? First, you must actively seek it out. This sounds insane, but it is the fastest way to desensitize yourself to its sting. Make it a game. Give yourself a rejection quota. Challenge yourself to collect 10 no's this week. Ask for a small discount at a coffee shop. Pitch a wild idea at work. Submit a piece of writing to a publication you think is out of your league. By intentionally seeking rejection, you change your relationship with it. It's no longer a terrifying monster in the shadows. It's a predictable part of the process. And when you finally get a yes, it feels 10 times sweeter. Second, practice the art of depersonalization. When you receive a no, immediately reframe it. Instead of "they rejected me," say "they rejected the proposal" or "the timing wasn't right for them." Separate the outcome from your identity. The decision is about the circumstances, the fit, and the timing. It is not a referendum on your fundamental worth as a human being. Third, use it as fuel. Let the sting of rejection motivate you, not to prove your doubters wrong out of spite, but to prove yourself right out of conviction. Let it be the reason you stay an extra hour, make one more call, or refine your skills to an undeniable level of excellence. Every time someone tells you that you can't, let it be a reminder of all the reasons you must. If you are not experiencing any rejection in your life, you are not aiming high enough. You are living so far inside your comfort zone that you are not even giving yourself the chance to be told no. Rejection is proof that you are in the arena. It's evidence that you are taking risks, pushing boundaries, and living life to the fullest. Don't run from no. Run towards it. Collect your rejections like badges of honor. Each one is a lesson, a stepping stone, a piece of the armor you are building. The person who is no longer afraid of rejection is truly unstoppable because they are no longer afraid to ask for what they want. And that is a freedom very few people ever taste. Chapter 9. The Unapologetic Line, Setting Boundaries That Command Respect. Your time, your energy, and your focus are the most valuable currencies you possess. They are finite, non-renewable resources. Every single day, you wake up with a certain amount, and where you choose to invest it determines the quality of your life. Yet most people give these precious resources away indiscriminately, allowing them to be drained by the demands, dramas, and priorities of others. They do this because they have never learned the art of setting and holding boundaries. A boundary is not a wall you build to keep people out. It is a clear line you draw to protect what is inside. It is the fence around the garden of your life. Without a wall, anyone can wander in, trample your flowers, and take your harvest. With a strong wall, you decide who to let in and what you allow to grow. A lack of boundaries is a breeding ground for resentment and a killer of confidence. Every time you say yes when you mean no, a small part of you dies. You agree to take on that extra project at work, even though you're already overloaded. You lend money to a friend who never repays you. You sit and listen to someone's endless negativity because you don't want to seem rude. Each of these moments feels like a small compromise, but they add up. They are a constant drain on your energy and a continuous reminder that your needs come last. This is the opposite of self-respect. Dangerous confidence understands a fundamental truth. You teach people how to treat you. If you are available 24/7, people will learn that they can contact you at any hour. If you always say yes, people will understand that they can always dump their responsibilities on you. If you tolerate disrespect, people will know that disrespecting you is acceptable. People will always push until they find a limit. If you provide no limit, they will keep going. Setting a boundary is the act of lovingly saying, "This is where I end and you begin. This is what I am willing to do, and this is what I am not." It is an act of profound self-respect. And here is the part that most people miss. You do not need to apologize for your boundaries. The apologetic boundary is weak and ineffective. It sounds like, "I'm so sorry, but I just don't think I can help you with that this weekend. I have this thing and then this other thing, so it's tough for me." This lengthy justification is a plea for the other person to accept your boundary. It invites negotiation. It signals guilt. An effective, confident boundary is calm, clear, and unapologetic. "I won't be able to help with that. I'm not available to talk after 8 p.m. I'm not comfortable discussing that topic." No. Notice that no is a complete sentence. It requires no defense, no explanation, no justification. At first, this will feel incredibly uncomfortable. You have been conditioned your whole life to be accommodating, to be a team player, to not rock the boat. The guilt you feel is a remnant of that old programming. But you must push through it. Here's what you will discover. The right people will respect your boundaries. The people who genuinely care about your well-being will understand and honor your limits. They may be momentarily disappointed, but they will adjust. It is only the wrong people, the users, the manipulators, the energy vampires, who will react with anger or outrage. When someone gets angry at you for setting a boundary, do not see it as a sign that you were wrong. See it as a giant, flashing neon sign confirming that the boundary was essential in the first place. Their adverse reaction is a gift. It reveals their true character. Let's consider a freelance writer named Jessica. She was talented and hardworking, but constantly on the verge of burnout. Her clients would email her at all hours, expecting immediate responses. They would continuously add extra work outside the scope of their original agreement. a phenomenon known as scope creep. Jessica, fearing she would lose them, always said yes. She was resentful, exhausted, and her confidence was in tatters. Finally, she hit a wall. She decided to set some boundaries. With her next new client, she laid out her terms clearly in the contract. My working hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday to Friday. Any communication outside of these hours will be addressed on the next business day. Any work requested beyond the initial scope will be quoted and billed separately. She was terrified. She thought the client would walk away. Instead, the client simply said, "Okay, that's perfectly clear. Thank you." This new client treated her with a level of professionalism and respect she had never experienced. Why? Because she had taught them how to from day one. Emboldened, she gradually introduced these boundaries with her existing clients. A few grumbled, one left, but most adapted. And the one who left was quickly replaced by 2 new clients who were happy to respect her terms. Her income increased, her stress decreased, and for the first time, she felt like a respected professional, not a doormat. Your boundaries are not selfish. They are essential for your survival and your success. You cannot pour from an empty cup. By protecting your energy, you ensure that you have more to give to the people and projects that truly matter. Start small. Identify one area in your life where you feel drained or resentful. That resentment is your compass. It's pointing directly to a missing boundary. Define what the boundary needs to be. Then, the next time the situation arises, communicate it calmly and clearly. Do not apologize. Hold the line. The more you practice, the easier it will become. You will begin to experience a profound sense of integrity and power that comes from aligning your actions with your own needs. Setting boundaries is not just about saying no to others. It's about saying a profound and resounding yes to yourself. Chapter 10. The Eye of the Storm. Finding calm in chaos. Life is unpredictable. Projects will fail, emergencies will arise, people will panic, and plans will crumble. It is not a question of whether chaos will strike, but when. Anyone can appear confident when the seas are calm and the sun is shining. The actual test of your character, the ultimate measure of your confidence, is revealed in the storm. When chaos erupts, the primal human response is to mirror it. The room gets loud, so we get loud. People start moving quickly, so we rush. Fear and panic become contagious, spreading like a virus until everyone is caught in a vortex of reactive, unproductive energy. In these moments, poor decisions are made. Words are spoken that can't be taken back, and control is completely lost. The person with dangerous confidence becomes the exception. They are the eye of the storm. While the winds of panic howl around them, they maintain a center of profound calm. They don't get swept up in the emotional tornado. Instead, they anchor themselves. And because they are anchored, they become the anchor for everyone else. This ability to remain calm under pressure is not a genetic gift. It is a skill that can be trained. It is a conscious choice to slow down when everyone else is speeding up, to think when everyone else is reacting, and to lead when everyone else is panicking. This calmness is a rare and magnetic form of power. Think about any crisis you've witnessed. Who did you look to? Who did you trust? It wasn't the person running around screaming. It was the person who remained steady, whose voice was level, whose actions were deliberate. Their calm presence was a signal to your nervous system that things could be brought under control. you can become that person. The first step is to master your physiology. When chaos strikes, your body enters a state of fight-or-flight mode. Adrenaline floods your system, your heart rate skyrockets, and your breathing becomes shallow and rapid. This physiological state makes clear thinking impossible. You cannot outthink a panic attack. You must first control your body. The moment you feel that surge of panic, your first and only job is to breathe. Specifically, you must engage in diaphragmatic breathing, also known as box breathing. Inhale slowly for a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 4. Exhale slowly for a count of 4. And have the empty space for a count of 4. Repeat this 3 or 4 times. This simple, conscious control of your breath sends a direct signal to your brain's alarm system, the amygdala, telling it to stand down. It says, "We are not in mortal danger. We are in control." This small act creates a precious pocket of space between the chaotic event and your response. Once you have regulated your breathing, the next step is to manage your pace. Panic loves speed. It thrives on rushed movements and frantic energy. You must intentionally do the opposite. Slow everything down. Slow down your movements. Slow down your speech. If people are talking quickly and loudly, consciously lower your own volume and slow your cadence. This has a powerful de-escalating effect on the entire environment. Your deliberate pace communicates, "We are not panicking. We are handling this." Let me tell you about a project manager named David. His team was days away from a critical product launch when a major bug was discovered, threatening the entire project. The team went into meltdown. Engineers were shouting at each other, marketers were panicking about the public relations nightmare, and the air was thick with blame and fear. David walked into the war room. He didn't shout. He didn't rush. He stood in the middle of the room and waited in silence until all eyes were on him. Then, in a calm, steady voice, he said, "Okay, breathe." He took a visible, deep breath himself. "The panic is not helping us. Shouting is not fixing the code. Let's slow down and approach the task methodically." "Sarah," he said, turning to the lead engineer, "I need you to walk us through the problem, step by step. Everyone else, listen. No interruptions." His calm was a pattern interrupt. It broke the cycle of panic. By slowing down the pace and focusing the team on a single, logical next step, he transformed the chaos into focused energy. They didn't solve the problem in 5 minutes, but they were now on a path to a solution, rather than a path to complete implosion. David didn't have a magic answer, but he had a calm center. In that moment, that was more valuable than anything else. Standing calm in chaos is not about being emotionless or pretending the problem doesn't exist. It's about refusing to let the external circumstances dictate your internal state. It's about knowing that your most valuable asset in a crisis is a clear mind, and a clear mind cannot exist in a panicked body. Every time you face a moment of chaos and choose to stay grounded, you are building resilience. You are proving to yourself that you are stronger than the storm, and people notice. They see you as a leader, as someone reliable and strong, not because you asked for the title, but because you earned it in the moments that mattered most. The storm is coming. The question is, will you be the leaf tossed in the wind, or will you be the eye of the storm? Chapter 11. The Certainty of Skill. How Competence Creates Confidence. There is a popular mantra in the world of personal development. Fake it till you make it. And while it might be a helpful nudge to get you started, it is a terrible long-term strategy for building genuine, unshakable confidence. You cannot build a skyscraper on a foundation of pretense. Sooner or later, the winds of reality will expose the fraud. Real, lasting, dangerous confidence is not born from affirmations alone. It is not a mindset you can simply decide to have. It is the profound, quiet, and undeniable certainty that comes from one thing: competence. It is the byproduct of knowing you have put in the work. It's the result of practicing, failing, learning, and repeating over and over until a skill is no longer something you do, but something you are. Confidence is the internal reputation you build with yourself. When you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you are capable because you have trained for the moment, you stop hoping you'll succeed, and you start expecting to. This is the shift from wishing to knowing. Think about any skill you have ever truly mastered. It could be driving a car, playing a musical instrument, or even cooking your favorite meal. Do you remember the first time you tried? You were probably clumsy, hesitant, and hyper-aware of every little action. You had to think through every step. Your confidence was low because your competence was low. But you didn't just stand in front of the car and tell yourself, "I am a confident driver." You got in and you drove. You practiced. You stalled the engine. You made wide turns. You merged onto the highway with a racing heart. You put in the hours, the reps. And over time, something magical happened. The conscious, clumsy actions became subconscious, smooth skills. You no longer had to think about when to press the clutch or check your blind spot. Your body just knew. Your competence had reached a level where confidence was the only possible outcome. You don't hope you can drive to the store. You just know you can. This is the formula for building confidence in any area of your life. Too many people wait to feel confident before they take action. This is fundamentally backward. Action creates competence, and competence builds confidence. You don't become confident to do something. You do it to become convinced. The key is deliberate practice. It's not just about going through the motions. It's about practicing with intense focus, with the specific goal of getting better. It means identifying your weaknesses and attacking them. It means seeking out feedback, even when it's hard to hear. It means pushing yourself just beyond your current level of ability, into that sweet spot of struggle where real growth occurs. Consider a public speaker. The amateur prepares by reading their speech a few times. They walk on stage hoping they'll do well. Their confidence is fragile, dependent on the crowd's mood. The professional, the one with dangerous confidence, prepares differently. They don't just know their speech, they have embodied it. They have practiced it dozens, if not hundreds, of times. They've practiced it in front of a mirror, in front of their family, in an empty auditorium. They have anticipated every possible question. They have mastered their breathing, their pacing, their pauses. When they walk on stage, they are not hoping it goes well. They know it will go well because they have already succeeded 100 times in private. Their confidence is not a performance. It is a demonstration of their preparation. Their certainty is earned. So where in your life do you feel the most doubt? Is it in your career? Your social skills? Your ability to manage your finances? Identify the area where a lack of confidence is holding you back. Now reframe it. It's not a confidence problem. It's a competence problem. And that is a problem you can solve. 1. Deconstruct the skill. Break down the skill you want to build into its most minor component parts. Becoming a better leader is too vague. Break it down into 4 key areas. running effective meetings, giving clear feedback, active listening, and delegating tasks. 2. Practice deliberately. Pick one component and focus on improving it. If you're running meetings, consider reading a book on the subject, creating a new agenda format, and practicing keeping everyone on topic. 3. Embrace the awkward phase. You will not be good at it at first. This is a non-negotiable part of learning. Embrace the mistakes. See them as essential feedback, not as a judgment of your worth. Confidence isn't the absence of failure, it's the resilience to continue after it. 4. Track your progress. Keep a journal of your practice. Note your small wins. Take a moment every month to reflect on how far you've come. This tangible evidence of your improvement is what builds the deep, internal belief in your own ability to grow. Stop trying to hack your way to confidence with empty affirmations. Do the work. Put in the reps. Build the skill. Train until the skill becomes certain. Because when your confidence is built on the bedrock of proven competence, it is no longer a fleeting feeling. It is a permanent part of who you are. No one can debate it, no one can question it, and no one can ever take it away from you. Chapter 12. The freedom of enough. Living as if you need nothing. We have arrived at the final, highest expression of confidence. It is a state of being so profound and deeply rooted that it can seem almost paradoxical. It is the power that comes from living as if you need nothing. This does not mean you abandon your ambitions. It does not mean you reject success, love, or connection. It is not about becoming a passionless stoic who desires nothing from the world. On the contrary, it is about engaging with the world more fully, more freely, and more powerfully than ever before, because you are no longer a slave to it. Most of humanity is trapped in a cycle of needing. They need the promotion to feel successful. They need the approval of their peers to feel validated. They need a romantic partner to feel complete. They need the right car or the right house to feel worthy. Their entire emotional state is conditional, dependent on acquiring something external. This constant state of needing is a state of weakness. It creates a desperate, grasping energy that, ironically, repels the very things it seeks. When you need something desperately, you give it power over you. If you need the job, you will be a timid negotiator. If you need the relationship, you will tolerate behavior you shouldn't. If you need the applause, you will compromise your vision to please the crowd. Your need becomes a leash, and the world can pull on it whenever it wants. Living as if you need nothing is the act of cutting that leash. It is the radical decision to source your sense of worth, peace, and completeness from within. It is building an inner well so deep and so full that you no longer need to seek water from the outside world. You can enjoy the rain when it comes, but you are not afraid of a drought. This is the mindset that creates true freedom. When you no longer need the promotion, you can pursue your work with passion and integrity for its own sake. You can take risks and speak the truth because your identity is not on the line. And paradoxically, this detached, excellent performance is what often leads to the most tremendous success. When you no longer need a relationship to feel whole, you can enter into one from a place of strength and choice, not desperation. You can love freely and generously, without the clinging fear of being abandoned, because you know that, even if you are alone, you are still complete. This makes you infinitely more attractive. How do you cultivate this state of being? It begins with a profound internal shift. First, you must practice gratitude aggressively. Neediness comes from a focus on lack. Gratitude comes from a focus on abundance. Every day, make a conscious effort to acknowledge what you already have. The lessons you've learned, the strength you've built, the relationships you cherish. The simple fact that you are alive and have the opportunity to grow. When you genuinely feel the richness of your present reality, the desperate craving for something more begins to fade. Second, you must become your own source. Stop waiting for someone to give you respect and give it to yourself through your actions. Stop waiting for someone to make you happy and create your own joy through your passions and pursuits. Stop waiting for someone to tell you you're worthy and prove your worth to yourself by living a life of integrity. You must become the parent, the lover, and the mentor you have always been looking for. Third, embrace the philosophy of detachment. This means pouring your heart and soul into your efforts, but releasing your grip on the outcomes. Focus on the process, the quality of your work, and showing up as the best version of yourself. Let the results be what they will be. Your pride and your identity are invested in your effort, which you can control, not the outcome, which you often can't. You find peace in knowing you did your best, regardless of the score. When you operate from this place of inner fullness, your entire energy changes. People can feel it. Neediness is repulsive. It feels like a vacuum trying to suck something out of you. Wholeness is magnetic. It feels like a warm fire that people want to be near. You stop chasing, and you start attracting. You walk into a room not with the energy of "what can I get from you?" but with the quiet, powerful energy of "I have everything I need right here." This is the pinnacle of dangerous confidence. You are no longer playing the world's game of validation and approval. You are playing your own game, by your own rules. You are free. You enjoy success when it comes, but you are not destroyed by its absence. You love deeply, but you are not broken by loss. You move through the world with a calm grace and a quiet power that nothing external can touch, because you have finally understood the ultimate secret. The person who needs nothing has everything. Conclusion. The quiet power within. We began this journey with the image of a leaf in the wind, tossed about by the world's whims. Now we end with the image of a mountain. The winds of criticism may blow, the storms of chaos may rage, the seasons of success and failure may change, but the mountain remains. It is steady, it is grounded, it is present. Its power is not in its noise, but in its unshakable being. This is the essence of dangerous confidence. It is not an act you perform, but a state you inhabit. It is the quiet, undeniable strength that comes from mastering your inner world so entirely that the outer world loses its power to control you. We have walked through the principles to build this inner fortress. You have learned to take command of your inner voice, to make a foundation of self-respect through daily action, and to break the chains of your addiction to approval. You've discovered how to let your body communicate strength before you speak a word, and how to use silence as a tool of power. You now understand the critical shift from being a reactor to circumstance to being a leader of your life. You have been challenged to embrace discomfort as your most excellent teacher and to alchemize rejection into fuel for your journey. You have the tools to set unapologetic boundaries, to stand calm in the eye of the storm, to build the certainty that only comes from actual competence, and finally, to live with the profound freedom of someone who needs nothing. This journey is not about arriving at a perfect, finished destination. It is about the daily practice of becoming. It is about choosing the mountain over the leaf again and again. It's about the small, consistent choices that, over time, forge an unbreakable core of self-belief. Do not just listen to these words. Live them. Apply them in the small moments of your day, in the difficult conversation, in the nerve-wracking presentation, in the moment of self-doubt. Each application is a victory. Each victory builds the mountain. The world does not need another loud, performative ego. It needs more mountains. It requires more people with a quiet, steady presence who can anchor themselves and, in doing so, anchor others. This power is not something you have to find. It is something you have to claim. It is already inside you. React to nothing, and you gain influence over everything. Your power is in your stillness.